Hello, everybody.
And welcome to the Classic Quest Podcast, episode 38,
Hey,
featuring
it's
your
weird.
boy HSR.
And your boy Chris Chrome.
And I've never been on this show before.
But he's been mentioning it on every other show that we
Sid.
do, so he wants to.
Do I?
Yeah, you're like, this is Classic Quest, and we're like, wrong show, Sid.
No, I don't
It's
know what
never
he's
happened.
talking about.
Yeah, we did that once.
That's
Okay,
never
maybe I'm
once
wrong.
happened.
One time is not always. Anyway, this is normal. So, basically, I was off this week, so we had time to do an extra review. Woo!
Yeah.
And there's a reason that... Okay, Chris, hold on. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. If you don't care about anything in particular, feel free to click the show more, and in the description will be the breakdown of when we talk about specific shits. But before that, I want to talk about our Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. It's a little out of maybe bad form on this guy's review to do it, but fuck it, that's what's happening. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as fast
They
as
don't know
possible.
what we're reviewing yet. We haven't told them it's not in the
Well,
title
they can
or
see
anything.
the fucking thing. Anyway,
Little boy Peep.
So basically, if you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, and you leave a comment on either the video, like what we've talked about, or the album that we're going to discuss, you will be entered into a raffle to win some Amazon money plus the right to request a movie or an album or something like that. Still working out the final details, but the gist of it is $100 of Amazon money for first place, and if you're in the States, yes, USD. And then if it's going to be second place is $50, third place 25, etc. Again, with review requests attached to that, we'll actually just grind and make it happen for you right away. And you get to even maybe pick who does your review is something I was thinking about, maybe to make it a little more fun. On that note,
Don't forget to also talk to me and tweet me on all of the other social
Yes.
platforms to be able to get your tweets shouted
So
out on
you're
all
You're
the
just fucking
videos.
selfish.
Chris is basically saying...
Do you want people to talk to you? You can acknowledge them.
So Chris,
I want them to know that
Chris
I want
is
to
saying
speak.
that if you tweet him, because he's not getting tweeted enough in his life, he'll make me put it up here. But just for the contest,
Well, I'm also going to read the
just
tweet.
for the contest
probably
before
read
we
it.
move on,
At least half of
every
it.
video that you like and comment on will count as an additional entry into this raffle of sorts. Chris will read your tweet. Okay.
Anyway, for this Classic Quest album review, we decided to go with Lil Peep's album, Come Over When You're Sober, Part 1.
And let me explain why this is on this show and what's happening.
Please justify
First
it.
of all, it's not even a full-length album in terms of the length we've done. I've actually stopped us from doing any album that's this short in the past, but this was an exception. As you all know, Lil Peep is no
Well,
longer...
as some of you know.
Well, okay, as anyone who's probably clicking on this video knows, likelihood, Mr. Peep is no longer with us due to an overdose situation, and there's many theories and rumors into all the stuff surrounding that. It's pretty fascinating to look at the last little bit of his Instagram and whatnot. And then I just wanted to remark there was this one post he made where it's like, when I'm gone, they're gonna love me, and that was prophetic fucking words and whatnot, because I ended up bumping his album pretty much after that out of curiosity, and I was like, holy shit, this is good.
And this album is a classic example of now he's dead, so a lot of people are getting into it. The album just charted for the first time on the Billboard charts. It never charted.
So
and it's
are
recent.
are we deeming this? Are we gonna deem this at the end of the show a classic or not, based on
it's always from our perspective if we think
Of
it's
course,
a classic
it's from our
album.
perspective, but I'm also saying, are we
So
also
we're-
going to take into consideration the fact that now that he's dead,
Okay,
now that
hold on.
he's
We're gonna say that to deem it a classic, time has not yet passed, and we're predicting if and when, and that's how we're gonna look at it. We're gonna
Okay.
give our opinions on the subject, and your opinion on the subject out there might be different, and that's why the comment section is there for us to discuss our opinions on the classic nature of this album. However, the show's not about calling people classics. It's a quest to understand why things might be classics.
Right,
So,
right.
to look into a concept album. That's part of why I was drawn to it right away, is it's got a clear concept to the album that makes sense, and it's honestly there's a story that gets told, and then knowing what happens in real life honestly adds to this album in particular in light of some of the lyrics on it and whatnot, and it made me I guess be maybe we should talk about it, maybe we should cover this thing, because I do think it's a fantastic fucking album. I'm saying that now, and we'll get into why, but it was just so interesting. And then what happened to him is sad, and honestly this opiate crisis thing is a little bit scary to me, and I'm not really into the pills, but I also don't come from the generation that was introduced to this, so I don't fully understand the culture enough to comment on that side of it, except that it scares the shit out of me. But yeah, it's sad because I would love to have. Honestly, I just want to say I would have gotten into this guy's music before I found out he was gone, and apparently Syd had shown me something, and I had liked it prior to this moment as a validation point. Because yeah, why don't you tell him about his live show?
Because yeah, like a couple months ago, I got the chance to sign up to review the show, and I didn't think twice about it. I was like, all right, there's another rapper. It's gonna be another rap show. And then I'm in my boy's car, Young Easy, shout out, and he's always bumping whatever latest new underground hip hop. Like he doesn't fuck with the mainstream stuff. And so he puts on Lil Peep, and I'm like, damn, like I can get behind this. I'm actually I'm excited for the show now because it's a little different. Like the beats are a little more guitar oriented, a little more rock oriented, which maybe a little bias on my part. So I go to this show.
Same here.
And halfway, and you can check out my review. I reviewed it for Bucket List.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the description below.
Check it out. And the guy who opened up, Nate Husser, was fucking sweet. Like he was a solid rapper, solid flow, solid beats. But he was a rapper, and it was a hip hop show. And in between, they had a couple of DJs like bumping the party, bumping some hip hop tracks, and then right in between, like right in the middle of that like party set, they start playing Panic at the Disco's I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. And I'm looking around like there's no way because these are like high school age kids at this show. This was an all ages show. God only knows why.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like an all ages show. And so there's a bunch of young kids in there. It's thrown by a Montreal organization called I Love Neon. They throw pretty solid parties. They get some pretty solid acts, like Thundercat was one of them. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so all these little kids are like rocking the lyrics to this song, like shouting. Like I knew all the lyrics because I was in high school when this song came out, right? With the Haven't You People Ever Heard Of?
Right.
And then like right after that, they start playing Hawthorne Heights, Ohio is for Lovers, another like old school new wave emo, like 2003, 2004 banger. And I'm just, like rock, like punk rock, you know what I mean? And I'm just looking around and these kids know the words, and I'm like. And then Peep comes out and he starts spitting his songs, and I realized that he's like a modern version of that, like very like romanticizing depression, romanticizing drug use, romanticizing heartbreak in a way that a lot of old school classic emo did. Not making it sound like it's something that you should aim for, but making it sound like it's something that if you're going through, there are people out there that understand it. So I really felt like in hip hop, there's not a lot of this. He does it very melodic. It's very sing-songy, and it's again the beats are a little more rock oriented.
Are seriously interesting. I think that to me was the first real sell.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
I didn't like him at first. I didn't like his style. I didn't like the way he looked. I didn't like anything about him.
Okay,
we'll talk about the way he looks in a second.
Listen,
it's on the
I'll
album
admit,
cover.
like I was very judgy at first, and I do apologize. I'm not into the whole emo rap, like emo punk, fucking cut my wrist, slit stuff. But then, like, I can kind of understand it to an extent of how much pain we go through and how much.
First of all, there's no cut your wrist shit on this album.
Not no, I'm saying like
I don't know if he has that in the other albums.
There's no direct.
But listen, cut my wrist and I'm better off dead. There's like there's a clear connection. All right.
Does he say that? Is what I'm saying.
Well, he doesn't say cut my wrist, but he claims that he wants to die.
I'd
claimed that he wants to.
Well, I don't think he claims that he wants to die so much that he thinks he's.
I think we're gonna talk about that on I believe it's track 6 or whatever.
Well, we will discuss it, but
I think that's underselling the value of what he's trying to do, and it's a way of, as you said, just kind of hearing the lyrics at a face value and not really understanding the context of the words. Because when I actually heard the album and then I heard that criticism, I was like, y'all are kind of dumb. Honestly, if that's all you think, it's like you didn't actually listen to what he had to say.
Fair, but again, this is the first reaction I had when I first got into him. And then, of course, like, let's do the album review. I was like, okay, and now that I've listened to the album, I do have different criticisms. I do have different opinions, but it's not my type of vibe. I have my own type of like suicidal, depression type lyrics that I'll write, but they're not.
So what he's saying is it's not Joe Budden enough for him.
Hang on, yeah. When Chris is feeling sad, he goes to listen to like Men Down Under. You know?
No, he goes.
Yes, yes.
Anyway,
but we had like a 12 man.
So let's talk about the title of the album and the cover. 1 second, hold it in editing.
When I said Men Down Under, I meant Men at Work. Y'all knew what I meant, right?
No, we're not even keeping it.
Men Down Under.
So yeah, let's move on now to just talk about the title and the album a little bit. The cover. So you got a title with "Come Over When You're Sober" Part 1, which is almost acknowledging that this drug use has caused problems in his life, and this is the first chapter of a bigger story.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not bored with the title.
Yeah.
It actually shows some serious levels of self-awareness and shit, especially with all the Xanax associated with this dude's name.
Although I will say, we just did Evanescence a couple weeks ago, and I mean, "Call Me When You're Sober" wasn't on that album, but that was an Evanescence hit.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying.
My beef wasn't the premise of that song because I had beef with it. It was the sound. Anyway, so yeah, you're right. That is completely true.
Hashtag Holden hates Evanescence.
I don't. Even though the people in the comments thought I did. I don't. And then you have this like picture of him like lying on a bed, passed out somewhere, probably off of drugs.
Oh, is he not? His eyes are open, aren't they?
Yeah, his eyes are slanted because he's got a joint in his mouth.
Right.
So it looks like he's just kind of dozed off on drugs and really like
like zoned out. And he's just lying there, and he's got this pink bunny, and you just look at him like you don't want to like him. Like, he just looks like the walking example of the type of riff-raff is parodying.
Yeah. And, you know, like you were mentioning that you saw him at first, and you were like, what the fuck is this guy? Like,
well,
and
look,
I just want to say, I showed him to a couple of friends before, like, right after the show, because I was into it, right? And I showed the video for Awful Things. We'll talk about that one.
Right.
To a couple of friends of mine, and they saw him, and they would, like, and these are musicians I'm talking about, and they saw him, and they were, like, not even listening to the music. They were like, this guy's an idiot.
Listen,
I gotta, like, just add to that. I had a 45-year-old colleague be like, he had tattoos on his face. I don't like people with tattoos on his face. Fuck this guy. I'm not surprised he died.
But I'm saying,
and that attitude is just strange to me. Like, bro, he's an artist. Everybody who's an artist that gets tattoos in this day, like, it's part of your image. Like, I don't understand how you're gonna. It's like, the dude's supposed to be a weirdo. Getting tattoos on your face is not a problem if you're also a published recording artist, is all I'm trying to say. It's an image.
Well, the only reason why I had an issue with his image is just because he's not your generic. When I hear rapper, I guess I have a stereotypical image.
That image has died a decade ago.
And then it's like, this came out, and I was like,
Do you remember when they were wearing skinny jeans in the late 2000s?
Yeah.
That was not hip-hop.
To me, the guy kind of embodies that whole Zeph fucking Diantward thing. He disagrees.
I think it's too colorful, and it's theirs is a little darker. But yes, anyway, that was whatever. I think it is like a king of the burnouts. It makes me feel like an MGK before he was famous, or any of these other punk type guys who just happen to be rappers. Also, they're all tatted to fucking death. They all seem to be high all the time. They all seem to be this like redneck America.
Yo, watch out for
rapper.
MGK, man.
MGK is okay.
We gotta keep MGK alive.
I like
He's like
MGK.
a national treasure.
MGK's
Yeah, but
last album
honestly,
wasn't
if
the
you
greatest
listen
thing.
to his album and he talks about being zonked out for days on an end doing all the drugs, yeah, watch out for MGK.
That's what I'm saying. Watch out for MGK. Yo, hashtag watch out for MGK.
Like, serious.
Somebody call the guy. Like, let's talk.
Anyway.
Okay, all right. Let's get into
Joe
this.
Budden actually said on that show he does with academics,
Complex.
he's
everyday
like,
struggle.
when I saw his Instagrams, I would have just called him right away. I would have just talked to
Yeah,
him.
he said that.
And I was a little bit like, I don't know how much I believe that you would have done that, Joe. You're saying that in hindsight, but maybe he would have.
A lot of people can say that, but I mean, would he have ridden the Benz truck over?
I mean,
So Lil Bo Peep has a brand new bitch in the back of the it's so good. Holy shit. I don't understand. Like, if there was a definition of earworms for that came out this year, this might be the earworm of hooks that I've heard all fucking. I cannot get it out of my head. And like, even the beat comes in, and it's just, you know what your first thought is? It's different.
yeah.
Like, it's not
different.
Yeah.
like, you're not even sure if you like it yet, but I can tell you one thing. Lil Peep stands the fuck out of any album I've heard this year. This is the most distinct sound. To me, it reminds me of Jeffree Star from the 2000s, who nobody else seems to remember except Bonnie, because he's a
remember.
drag queen guy,
remember.
and he fucked with Hollywood Undead for a minute, and I could see why a lot of people don't know him, but to me, his music kind of sounded a bit like this, except with different subject matter. All right, so he comes in, and there's like guitars, and he's going to break down the beat. That's like Syd's forte. And then the lyrically, though, my one beef with this track, and it's possibly the only thing that kept it from being truly perfect, is that it falls prey to that repetitive verse shit. So really the structure is chorus, verse, and the verse is the same thing as the other verse, like word for word. And even within that, it's a repeated part. So it's like 4 bars repeated by the same 4 bars. And it's just... Look, I understand that that's kind of popular with a lot of artists these days to do that.
I just want to take that like a step further though with the popularity. I'm not saying that you can't like it. Obviously, you can definitely not like it. But I just want to back it up and say that in terms of what I feel Lil Peep is trying to do and show a lot more of a heartbreak emotion, a lot of conversations when you're dealing with heartbreak, you kind of sound repetitive. You kind of just have that one message you want to say and how you really want to feel at that moment.
I find it super lazy songwriting to repeat your verse because, like, look, even if you're going to do it within your same verse and that part make it chanty, okay. But to then have your second verse just be your first verse again, I mean, it's swagged out words and shit, and like it flows super well. So if we're talking about how it sounds, it's excellent. This is just like my criticism of this kind of songwriting. I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. It's not like it's bad. It's just I kind of want to see more.
I'm gonna throw out a little bit of a different perspective on this one, because I mean I think this one really works to open the record because he's really showcasing the fact that now he's starting to get a little bit of fame, and unlike other rappers, like Peep doesn't really understand it. You know what I mean? Like he's there and he's like Lil Bo Peep in the back of the club with a brand new bitch, but like then there's lines like don't know what I hate now, pretty soon you're gonna hate me. Like he's acknowledging the trappings that come with fame and the trapping that comes like right away. It's different, right?
Agreeing with that.
And the repetition. There's a lot of repetition on this. Like this song works to also give a blueprint for what a lot of the rest of the record is going to sound like. Very mellow, guitar-driven beats, very spacey production on the vocals, a lot of low-end monotone delivery. But that's not because there's also a lot of melody in it. Like there's a lot of very subtle melody in it. And
like I don't want to make it sound like I don't like this. I think the guy manages to say with so little lyrics more than sometimes an entire rapper can do with an entire song. So let me not say that this is because it's poorly written. It's because I think it's so well written, I wanted more of it, is more my problem with
I can hear that. I also think the song was a little short. And you guys know I fucking never say a song is too short. Like, it's too long or it's good.
Let's say all he had done was written a second verse of the equal quality of expression of that first verse. It would have felt a little better to me. Anyway, I mean, it's amazing because you're right. It does contextualize him now, like in this jaded, like you get the feeling almost like he's so high, he's like, barely participating.
Like
in
he can barely fathom, like he can't even feel the success that he's starting to garner.
We were having a discussion a little earlier, and Holden said something. He's the rapper that met the chick.
Well, no, I mean I think that's the double end of the song for this story.
But that's what I was going off of. Like I also got that message as well. How he's like when you were saying that. Like I don't know what you're gonna hate now. Soon you're gonna hate me. It's like I also took that as like he's the rapper that met the girl who wants him now, but then like when he starts living his rapper life, she's gonna hate him.
Which I think is a great, because I feel like this album is almost written as a double entendre, as a relationship with us as the listener, as well as this particular girl, which probably paralleled an actual relationship in his life. And I say that
I can see that
because I have lived every emotion on this album at a younger part of my life, and it was like almost fucked up to hear how real this shit is. Like I said, in those little words, he used the right level of expression to convey the emotional tone of, because when you are in that breakup point and you are, even if you're doing well and if you're losing, your world just kind of fades out into this. You're living life. You're barely a participant. The emotion is all fucked up. And
the other thing is, like, what I think is really cool about this and why it's kind of started to turn the heads of hip-hop fans a little bit is because there's a lot of emotions that you don't find on other hip-hop records. Like, you won't find this melancholy kind of self-doubt kind of like, and you really like, it's a lot of hip-hop is about technicality, it's about word count, it's about syllable count, and Peep isn't really about that. He's about melody, very simple melody, expression, very simple bar structure, and a lot of expression, a lot of emotion. So it's, it's much more in line with...
And the way the music just, like, as much as it's got this gothic tones to it. Now, my one criticism, like my biggest criticism, is that Goth Boy Clique shit is a direct rip-off of the Coke Boy Babies of French Montana's Clue. And I did not like that thing because it just was like, I couldn't even hear Goth Boy Clique. I just heard Coke Boy Babies every single time. And it's not
if you don't know what the Goth Boy Clique is, by the way, it is there for a reason. It's his clique. If you're interested in other rappers maybe who are doing the same type of things that Peep was doing, like he was the last member added to this clique. So you can go check them out. There's a few other rappers in the crew, and there's some graphic artists and shit.
That's cool. They're like a movement.
Yeah.
But I like I love the authenticity of this song. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I think that I have to dock it some half a point for the fucking lack of second verse. I don't care if it's the kind of music. I feel like if we let it all degrade to a point where there isn't more than one verse in a song, really what's going to be left with is just 4 bars repeated for like 8 minutes, and that's going to turn into the future of songwriting. They might be the dopest 4 bars, but I kind of want more out of it personally.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that we do need to keep getting songs that have more diversity in them. I gave this track a 4 on 5. I liked it. I liked the melodic trap feel to it. It's more a rapper song than the rest of the album. So I think that's why I liked it more. 'Cause it had more that rapper feel, like chilling in the car. You know, he talked about doing drugs. He talked about kind of like turning up a little bit, but also acknowledging that.
I wouldn't say he's turning up. He's just kind of doing drugs.
He's in the back.
But not in the sense. I didn't get the sense of like he's doing drugs.
Excited. I feel like it's more of a jaded feel. The entire
But can we agree that it's
jaded.
not like he's broken? Like, I don't get the fact that on this song
I think
he's broken.
on this very song, he's already broken.
Okay, fair.
And you can tell that because, as Syd pointed out, he's got no confidence. He doesn't really understand his fame.
Well, I don't say that he's got no confidence because it's still delivered, and he's got charisma in his delivery, and he's got.
No. I mean, as a performer, yes, but as a character, I feel like this is a guy who doesn't understand where he's at. He's confused. He's jaded. He's already sounding like a 53-year-old man in his level of disinterest in life. He seems disinterested in any of his successes. Like when he says, "I made all that money. I'm not gonna let it change me." It might be one of the only times you almost believe it, because, it's just he doesn't care.
All the fame won't change me. I mean, I do agree with Chris a little bit in saying that it's the most like another rapper's track. You know what I mean?
But I think it's part of the context of he met this girl who was interested in him because he's another rapper type. Blah blah blah. It was an interesting choice. I don't understand why he put the word truck in a Cyrillic or Russian or whatever in the title.
I think that's part of his heritage or whatever. Gustav R is his real name. R. Anyway, I gave it a 4.5 on 5 too for pretty much the same reasons Holden did. Just not long enough, but it's a good start to the record.
Yo, listen, seriously, man, save that shit. Honestly, fuck my life, can't save that girl. Don't tell me you can save that shit. Like, he doesn't care about being the best rapper. Nope. But holy shit, can I say I understand the sentiment he's expressing a lot clearer than sometimes a complex rhyme would like describe, because you just have those moments where you're like, fuck my life, can't save that girl. Don't even tell me you can save that shit. Like, you can even say it. You could picture this. Mm-hmm. Like, this, almost all his lyrics could be like text messages he's written to people in his real life.
Another impression that I got from this one was that he's aware that he has a different sound. Like, he is aware that he's doing something that in him, like he has something in him that other people don't have, right? So down another lonely road I go. Like, he's trying to find someone, some kind of connection, some kind of person that he can share this with, but he can't. He just can't find it. Like, nothing like these other motherfuckers that can make you rich, but like he can't find that person who will come with him.
Right.
And then he's even got stuff like, do I make you scared, baby, won't you take me back?
I can take you there, but baby, you won't make it back. Like,
well, I know he also says, do I make you scared in another line.
I think one of them comes after the other.
Yeah, no. So he's got both of those, but that's the thing. It's
part
like
of the repetitiveness.
But even again, that kind of repetition isn't aimless. It's repetitive in the sense of, yes, and a lot of the words are the same, but what he ends up communicating a lot of ideas with that, right? Where he's like, look, I finally let my guard down. I finally let you in. I can take you to this place where we could be together, but then we get there and you're just like afraid of the monster that is me. And like, I know that, like, in a lot of other people, like, here's the thing. A lot of people have really simple rhyme schemes like that, but they don't say shit.
Yeah.
This guy is saying a lot. Like, so he met that girl at the Benz Truck thing, and then now he's realizing it's nothing and he can't save that shit.
Right.
And, you know, like, so it kind of follows the narrative. It shows his personality, where his head's at, which is why when people kind of limit this dude to some nihilistic, depressing lyrics, I'm like, nah, this is a guy relaying some life experience to all of us in a really...
And, you know, he didn't live a long, like, it was a young life, but he had some wisdom that a lot of people, like, even in his delivery, you hear wisdom that doesn't generally come from someone his age. And just, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
It's cool. I mean, for me, this track, it's a little bit less enjoyable than the last one, because the last one had a fucking hook and a half. But this one, it's even more repetitive, and I think that's where it kind of loses it. But you got lots of...
That's what I was going to say. Like, he chooses his words so carefully, and he works them into the melody so carefully that, like, you can't not get the basic premise and the basic concept of what he's saying.
Well,
like the way he fades out.
I find like some of the word placements don't match. I find that it's more based on how he restrains his voice, how he holds the note, and you can hear the like the pain or the anger or the roughness that he's trying to present in the message. So I agree with
I
you
feel
in terms
he
of
uses the
proper
music
word placement.
He uses the music as an extension of his voice, as opposed to it being about the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, the idea that like all these, I'm not like these other motherfuckers that can make you rich. Right, like that's something that gets said all the time, but like
but
it's
not
almost,
in this way.
And like he's just kind of playing it like he wants it's interesting, right? Like the reality that he is who he is. A lot happens in this song. But it's the beginning of accepting that this thing that he's involved with, this person, like it's not okay, and he's starting to not feel okay. And
I do want to say this too. Like, I saw the guy live, so I heard his clean voice, and like, you know, without the production, and like I've listened to this record quite a few times now. Like, the dude has taken at least some basic form of singing lessons. Like, he knows how to use his voice to portray emotions in a way that a singer does. Like, he holds the notes properly, and he and he hits those high notes properly, and he goes through the melodies properly. Like, they sound very simple, but a lot of what he does is, you know, you can tell that he's gone through some sort of education for this.
Yeah, I give it a 4.25. I still dig this track. I think, like, I plussed it. I plussed, like, pretty much the whole thing. I stopped plussing at a point because I wasn't sure if I wanted the whole thing, but it's like fucking good, man. It fits the narrative. It fits the song. It gives you food for thought. And again, it's got another take on that already interesting hybrid sound that we've been exposed to, and the way he uses the effects to offset the redundancy, Quavo, and that really impressed me. Anyway, somebody else can talk.
I gave this song a 4 on 5 again. The only reason why the last track in this one aren't perfect songs to me are just because of the fact that it's not my vibe. I can appreciate what it is. I can appreciate the emotion, the honesty, but I'm not feeling the crying or the whininess behind it.
There's no whining on this, man.
Well,
I feel that's the whole point that I was trying to say about the restraining of the voice and the way he holds his notes. It's a lot of like, why, like just kind of like sobbing.
But like, baby, won't you take me back? Like I can hear what you're saying.
No, but even other motherfuckers that can make you rich, he says it in a way that he's like trying to plead to her, like, but baby, there's nobody else that can make you rich. It's like, why are you crying?
But then right after that, he goes down another lonely road.
So why is he crying that? Because that's what it actually is like in real life.
I understand, but
like,
I wouldn't. For me, it's not my vibe. I would want to handle it a little differently.
I think that when we are faced with these moments in our real lives, we often sound a lot more like Lil Peep than we may want to admit on camera. Maybe. That's all I'm trying to say.
But I did give the song a 4 on 5 because I do like the beat behind it. I like how it's like this melodic kind of eerie sound, but he plays a lot of he plays on this I want to say optimistic sound, like these upbeat sounds to get you in to want to listen to it, but also relate his
spacey, jaded shit, man. I'm not feeling upbeat here. I'm feeling like
no. I'm saying the sounds he's using are more positive than like darker sounds. Like the way he has like these cymbals and these
See, again,
these
I'm
tones.
feeling like he's trying to get you to this numb place with the sounds he's using. He's trying to take you to this jaded.
Well, if we want to think about taking drugs to escape to a better place,
we're talking
or even
about
a numb
the sounds used in the music are trying to take you to that numb place you're in when you realize your relationship's shattering. Like, I don't know, man. When your relationship is shattering, you're numb. The world's kind of spacey. You're not really involved.
I get that.
Sonically, like, you hear a lot on this record that's very similar to the last time opiates were really popular, which was in the 90s. And out of that, we got grunge, we got emo, we got this slow guitar-driven fucking...
I'm just saying
and it's a lot like that.
Upbeat to me.
This, to me, does with, like early emo and grunge and hip hop, what nu metal kind of did with metal and hip hop.
Okay.
In the early 2000s, like, this is the same type of hybrid. I gave this song a 5 on 5. This was the first Peep song I heard. This is what Easy played for me in his car, and like I was right away like, I want to hear that again. I made him play it again. Because it was new, it was different. I've never, like, I don't want to say I've never heard anything like this, but out of hip hop, you just don't hear shit like this that often.
It's definitely not what you were expecting to pop in 2017.
No, and the hook to me is catchy as hell. I love the structure, I love the lyrics, and I love the way the song builds without building, you know what I mean? Like he uses the instrumentals, they're so sparse. Like the beats, the trap beats are pretty simple, but you know, he takes them away and he puts them back and he takes in a way that really lets the song hang, and there's a lot of tension in it. So I can't find too much wrong with this song, like for what it is, and I've been bumping this song, like it's stuck in my head all the time. So I guess a 5 from me.
All right, let's talk about those awful things.
It's just the two of us tonight.
Now it's like, for our narrative, we have him listening to all the awful shit and embracing the masochism of trying to make it work, and he's almost like accepting this like mental breakdown that this girl was bestowing onto him. You
know what's really cool about this one is that I really understand that sentiment, and it doesn't get talked about a lot, of like someone dumped you, or you went through a bad breakup, or you went through a breakup, but you still need to hear from that person, even if they're telling you shitty things, even if they're insulting you, even if they're coming at you, like, you just want to talk to them. You
even
just want that correspondence.
Burn you down till you're nothing but memories.
Yeah.
He gets it, girl. He gets it, girl.
He gets it. Also, don't watch the music video for this
I'm
song.
not the one. No, but really, I like that part. I get it, girl. I get it, girl. I'm not the one. And you're just like...
Like, he gets it. He understands. He's just not ready to move on. So bother me. Tell me awful things.
That's why you're whining. Because you're having so much trouble handling this. I've been there. Especially when you fuck up and you lose that girl that was supposed to save you or some shit like that. And, you know, when you're young, when I was like 21, I made some stupid ass choices, lost an amazing girl, and my life felt like this album. And when I was 24, I fucked around and lost the same thing. Every time I've really been dealing with a breakup, my life kind of felt a lot like this, down to the weird, creepy... our culture has been known as the one that doesn't know how to break up, and when we do break up, we're all obsessed with our ex-partners, and this situation probably plays out way more often than anyone will admit.
But again, you don't get this in hip-hop. Like, you either get, I don't give a fuck about that bitch, I'm moving on, or you get the beginning, like wooing, the like, yeah, this is amazing, girl, you're all I've ever wanted, but you don't get the end of the relationship. You don't get that, like, that fallout, that I
want to say that we've started to see it peeking through, because we've been doing a lot more. No. Even in some of our rap albums throughout the year, we've started to see these types of things break through, or like songs where like they'll tactfully approach this subject. Nothing's coming to mind, but there was one song that was kind of like, let's break up now before it's too late. So like our memories are good.
Higher being from higher something. Big Crate.
And then Lupe had one on fucking Tetsuo and Youth, which is relatively recent. So we're starting to see these subjects coming in. But what we're not seeing it is from the perspective of a sappy 21-year-old, which is probably the bulk of people who are listening to music, is this younger era. And I'm not going to lie, at 21, I handled shit just as bad as that. Like, I know. And then something about it, you were like hyping up the goth boys, but here we have Lil Tracy. He's a goth boy, as I understand it.
Yeah, his verse on this track isn't
it's the most generic rap-sounding thing on the album. to me. Like the way he framed it and stuff, like he played up on Peep's concept really well. But you could tell.
Don't you turn your back on me.
And then he like starts it off, but then has to do shit like, yo, I'm on the stage with the goth boy. Like he had to just be almost like token with it, rather than actually fit the theme of the song and get personal with it. And it makes me a little bit disinterested in Lil Tracy.
Well, I still
don't...
felt like his verse was kind of like it came from the point of view of like, look, I'm doing this. I don't need you, but I need you. You know what I mean? Like it's very it's classic emo. It's not as
so
good.
It didn't impress
as what
me
Peep
as
is
much
doing,
as what Peep did. See, Peep wrote a verse here that I related to. Tracy wrote a verse that followed Peep's verse, and that's how I felt about it. Look, the song actually is really great. I liked it way more than Saw That Shit. I love that chorus. Brother me, like just the whininess of it.
He also like live. He sang this one a cappella like a few times, and again, you hear that he has a solid vocal technique. Like the dude,
I give it a 4.5. For me, if Tracy wasn't here and we had a second, no, to give it credit, we got a second unique verse. Thank goodness, finally, 3 tracks in. But had Peep done a second unique verse that was playing a little more into the idea, because clearly Peep was onto a great idea with this song, I would have given it a straight 5. But again, it just felt like it was so close to being there, but it was held back.
Mm-hmm. You haven't spoken much on this one.
He's like, I'm afraid of getting yelled at.
It's not about getting yelled at. It's just I understand what this album is, so a lot of my opinions and my criticism is gonna be a little bit of the same. I like this song. I like the beat. The music video is a little bit whack.
It's very whack.
It's super dumb.
But
hold on, we must draw attention before he talks to Lil Tracy dabbing.
I thought you were gonna talk about Lil Tracy dabbing.
I wasn't. No, okay.
So would you please? I've heard it from you like 8 times.
Okay, so this is the plot of the music video. So like kid walks into class and like sees chick. There's like electricity or whatever. They're like next second they're like necking in the bathroom, and then he comes in the next day and she's like sucking on this other guy's neck because vampires and goths and shit. And so Peep just like stands there and just holds up his hand and like lights himself on fire.
Well,
and he just catches fire. Hang on, because the best part of the video and the only good part of the video, I don't know if they meant this to be a good part or not. It's just like the whole school's on fire. Some other guy's just like, the fuck, and then all the lockers are on fire and Lil Tracy's just standing there.
Yeah,
I'm just like, everything's on fire. I'm a dab.
There's no other point to that shot.
Okay, well,
let's go on.
Okay, so the way I saw the music video, and I think it's maybe because I'm the youngest one out of these two.
And it was the shittiest graphics.
So I have.
Listen, you young whippersnapper.
Shittiest graphics.
I could feel a lot of what the music video is saying in terms of high school wise. I have been that position where I like this girl and then I kind of go to school and she's kissing up on some next dude. And you kind of feel like you're ready to hang yourself. You're ready to light yourself on fire. It's
so he
that.
Gets the
album. But don't worry. At the end of the video, they go to fire heaven together.
But no, the thing is that if we're talking about the album being a concept and the music video trying to relate to the album and all this crap,
well, no,
you're looking at it. You're looking at it as
I wasn't making that relation.
They are.
We just wanted to talk about the dabbing.
Let them talk.
The Peep and this girl in this video are having their problems, and she's getting back at him for whatever the fuck reason, and she's kissing on some dude, but she's fucking
evil from the beginning because she has red eyes before they even kissed the first time.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. She has red eyes.
So she's evil from the anyway.
Straight up supernatural demon shit. Like
to me, this was one of the corniest music videos I've ever seen.
It's really dumb.
Benz Truck's video was okay.
It's also. It's like a 5-star video next to this one.
Yeah, not the greatest videos. I hear he has a lot of other music with other videos. We haven't seen that. Maybe they have. I haven't, so I'm going to check out more after. But I hope they're better than these awful videos. Awful things, awful videos. The song was great, though. 4.5.
I think I gave it a 4.5.
I gave it a 3.5.
Ouch.
All right. Well, you did say, as in you said, that you were not a big fan of the style.
Get it?
So we got a 2-parter, and each of these parts have a name I didn't write down.
And it's nice because this isn't a Slash song, so it kind of tricks you.
It's cool. It's like a little package, and it's called "You Said," and And the first part kind of has him like talking about like escapism and dealing with running away. Like running away from you takes time and pain, and I don't even want to. So I'm getting high a week without you, popping pills thinking about you. And it like fades in and it like picks up and the song kind of evolves a bit, and you get the sense where like rather than dealing with these emotions for this girl, he's getting fucked up. And if I'm not mistaken, he even references like, we used to get fucked up on this same stuff, and it makes me think of you, so I do it now because as much as I'm trying to escape you, it's like a twisted like fucking. And I even get that because anything I may have done in my life often started with a particular girl and evolved from that point, and then you leave them and you can create that association and it brings you back, whether it's a TV show, a narcotic agent, a particular restaurant. It's an interesting thing. So you get the sense that he got into these drugs with girls in his life and they're gone, and he's using these drugs to not deal with it, and then halfway through like it fades.
Yeah.
And you feel like I got the sense that part one happens and he's describing almost the immediate part. Then time jumps ahead a bunch. And now he's just like, that's why we get fucked. And he's like celebrating it now. Like he's out there. He's rebounding. He's in the middle of the chaos. He's just kind of like, he goes from like the quiet isolation of his thoughts to like the midst of trying to escape from it for real.
I took it as an answer. I took it as the first part is everything that was said, everything that's going on, the initial breakup, and he's like trying to figure out what's happening, and then as he's finding out what's happening, I agree with you, the fade out feels like a time passing moment. It gives you that illusion, but I don't think it's as long as I feel you make it sound to be. I don't think it's like 3 months or 3 weeks. I literally think there's like,
or maybe it's
2
the drugs
minutes
kicking in.
Like it could be the drugs kicking in, or I feel like it's like a 2-minute wait time where you're just there.
Or like it's
and you're
later on that night.
Yeah, or something like that. And then you go out and you're like, yo, fuck it, I'm going to get smashed because...
That's it.
So it's not like 6 months down the line he's accepting it.
I was just saying time passed.
Right.
I'm gonna say something that I feel like I should win some kind of YouTube award for, because I'm about to drop a Beatles reference in a Lil Peep review.
Shit.
So,
golden YouTube block, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. So for your consideration, I don't know if you guys have ever heard Sgt. Pepper all the way through the album. Nope. So there's a track on that album called A Day in the Life, which starts off, for those of you who know this song, I read the news today, oh boy. A lucky man who made a grade. And then halfway through the song, it starts to like break apart and the music falls apart and you hear alarms ringing, and then it kind of goes, woke up, got out of bed, and the song completely changes, and he goes about his morning and he does whatever, and then he finds his way upstairs and he has a smoke, and you know he's smoking wacky tobacco, and somebody spoke and he went into a dream, and then the song dissolves again and he goes back into the drug trip. So this song to me felt like running away from you takes time and pain. I don't even want to. I'm just gonna do drugs, and then like 2 hours later, now he's high, he's turning up, like, and that's the impression I got from this one.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Also, this one is the most obvious evidence that he fucking grew up listening to like 90s punk, 90s grunge, 90s emo, like that bass line opening it up, like something right out of like a NoFX song.
And the chorus is just proper. Like you could almost see yourself moshing to this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my favorite track on the fucking album. Both parts, like it's perfect. And because of the way it was structured, we're halfway through a new song almost starts. We got a lot of unique lyrics and a lot of real powerful story to drive from. Like I don't know, man. You can just feel. I was checking to see if I wrote any other lyrics. No, but you just feel it, man. Like you just feel this song, and it's like. It really adds to the story. It's the perfect middle here. 5 on 5. I really fucking dig this track.
4.5 on 5.
Ooh, he gave a good grade.
This song is really good. This song is, I think, everything that you guys have been trying to get me to understand, or at least Holden has been, because I've been here. I've been at the breakup part where this is probably the most relatable song to me, because yes, I've been at that part where the girl's like, we're over, blah blah blah, and literally 2 hours later I'm busy getting mashed the fuck up because I'm trying to forget, and everybody can relate to that. I think my problem with the last couple of songs is just his personal experience is a little bit different than mine, and
debatable
is a little bit the relatability for me is a little bit I
Off
guess
camera, Chris was like, I want to
debatable.
listen to different music when I'm dealing with shit. It's not that... Anyway. Just saying. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I think it's very universal message.
I'm gonna drop a grade on this shit.
Do it.
Hang on, I had something else to say. Fuck it. 4.5 on 5. Just because this was the first one where I felt like the
Exceptionally
lyrics
loud
were
for
just
no
a
reason.
little bit. Sorry. This is the first one where I felt like the lyrics were just a little bit on the like, oh, poor me side. Even though it does, like, he pulls it really well into that euphoria of like when you're drunk and nothing else matters and you just want to get fucked up and party and forget your shit. Like, the second part of the song is bang on. It's just the first part of the song I felt was a little bit whiny, and it could have been phrased a little bit better.
I
So
liked it
guess the
still.
4.5 instead of the 5. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, you're better off, in parentheses, dying.
Can't find out secrets that I'm hiding. You don't wanna find out, babe.
I love the hook of this, man.
I like this song.
So, like, chains on shining, you can see me riding, cocaine lined up, secrets that I'm hiding. You don't want to find out, better off lying. You don't want to cry now, better off dying. So, like, I think this is him, like, thinking back on his relationship and how it kind of, like, ended, or it's the end of his relationship. I'm not really sure how it fits into the story. So,
I
there.
took it as this is him. This is the I'm laying it out for the next girl. I kind of got this a little bit.
Well, I mean, for me, it was like he's realizing it's easier to be fake and to lie about whatever the hell he needs to be than it is to admit to, like, the situation. Like, you don't want to cry now, so it's, like, better off dying, like, letting shit die. And so he's going to, like, lie about the situations. He's going to hide the stuff. Maybe he's cheating. Maybe it's the drugs. Maybe it's the extent of things. And he realizes
I get
he's
that
like,
too.
look, I'm going to... And then he, like, almost commits to it. He's like, I'm just going to go in on this fake narrative because the reality is I don't want... Like, we've established he's not really a confrontational person who wants to deal with his problems.
Right.
And he just comes to the conclusion. And then you can see he's using drugs and he gets, like, high on blow. And he's like, you know what? This is how we're going to handle it. I'm just going to fucking lie. And you can almost feel, like, the sense of his relationship is over. And when I hear the better off dying line, it's not so much of a suicidal thing as it is like he feels like the entire relationship is just dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he goes into the verses and it kind of realizes stuff's crashing. He's trying hard, and I respect this one. I liked it again, and even like the chains on shining, you can see me riding. It's like you can see him playing this happy thing. Like, he has to be this fake ass rapper type persona because of who he is, even though it's not really true.
Yeah, like I like this one because it's a little more of a mirror of I guess hip hop. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of like this is how I'm doing it. So it's that na 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 na, like really happy chorus. You can see like in a music video, any other rapper would be like hanging outside their window, like fucking girls in the back. You know what I mean? But he's still like he's going through his personal shit, and he's got the drugs to deal with it, and he's still got the uncertainty. He's still got the jadedness, even though the beat's a little more a little happier. And I mean, still you get the sense like this is straight up something out of like reminds me of Adam's song, like Blink-182, like straight out of that old school like pop punk emo whatever. But this one just it didn't hit me as hard delivery wise, and I did really like it. Like I'm giving it a 4.23. It might be personal, it might not. I'm still not sure on it, but it wasn't as on point as the first few tracks. That's why I'm not giving it the perfect grade.
4.5 for me. I think it's pretty fucking great, but like after hearing you said, it's definitely not that good. So I can't like it's on par with the other ones. It's got a couple of little flaws in it, like super repetitive, etc. But otherwise, it's a pretty good song. An interesting subject matter, keeps the story alive, really gives you another step into like. So we're 5 tracks in, and you're already like you really kind of get the feeling like you know Lil Peep a little bit, and that is a rare thing I think for an album like this. So I'm impressed at this point still.
Nice. I gave this song a 4.5 on 5. I think that we can look at it one of two ways. We can look at it based on the relationship. And also as well, I also kind of look at it based on his fame and what we were discussing about how being a rapper and having to fake a bunch of stuff. I think that a lot of us and even everyday people have to fake a bunch of things, like how they are at work, how they are in social gatherings, how they are at different places. And I think that some people, even a lot of this generation is having trouble understanding that there's a fine line between faking and adaptation.
The old people, I'm just going to interject, all those old people
like us.
No,
You and me,
like
Holden, not Chris.
40 plus old people
Thank you.
come from
You're
a
welcome.
generation where you just faked it because that's what was expected of you. And
Right.
we're the first generation that's been really like, you can feel. And now nobody knows how to deal with this contrast of the social normative expectation of faking it to be. It's like, here's a question that nobody really likes. How are you doing? Because nobody wants the truth to that question, yet we all have to lie when we answer it. And it makes, like, I hate the question. I hate answering it. Like, how am I doing? I'm probably tired and stressed. So, like, I don't want to answer that. I'm doing well. You? I'm like, you know? Like, just in that question.
Fair.
I think we
guess,
got a living
I guess-
example of what you're describing.
And that's why I think
Yeah.
that this is a very good song in terms of how a lot of people think that they're better off just being dead if they have to fake who they are to get by.
Yeah. And he plays that up very well. Chains on fly, whatever, like this is my face. But I'm dying on the inside.
And then, like, even, like, the cocaine, like, yeah, drugs are cool, but it's because I'm hiding shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, did you give it a grade? I don't think you
4.5.
did.
4.5.
Yeah, I think we all gave it a grade.
Awesome. Let's
That's
talk
the
about
bright
the
side.
bright side.
Game got the whole world running.
King Kunta.
All right, so I love this part of this song. Help me find a way to pass the time. Everybody's telling me life's short, but I want to die. Help me find a way to make you mine. Everybody telling me not to, but I'm gonna try. Now I'm getting high again tonight. And this song is addressing with the fact that, like, everyone's trying to be like, yo, bro, you got to stop obsessing over this girl. You got to stop thinking about this girl. You got to. And he's like, you know what? That's true. But instead, I'm just thinking about this girl to a point where, like, I feel like my life's not worth living anymore because I can't have her and I want to kill myself. Which is a universal theme of romance since, like, forever. You know, people have cut off ears in the name of romance. So, like,
Van Gogh did that.
yeah, I wasn't, like, making it up. It's a real thing. It's that
It's a
type
real
of
thing.
like dark gothic romanticism.
Mailed it to her.
And
Did he?
yeah, he did. That was to a prostitute
Fucking weird
too.
dude, man.
But so you got this, like, sense of, again, Peep
But also
exploring-
Vincent Van Gogh was on a bunch of drugs, so there you go.
and, like, Peep, you know. So like he was using, like, this to escape it all, and then he's, like, connecting, and he's just trying to, like, remember, and, like, he understands. You get the sense he understands that shit's over, but he can't, like, he's trying to find the bright side, but I don't know. I feel like everyone's telling him to find it, and he's trying to find it, and he's just not. And he instead just notices shit like the club lights, and everything's still got this jaded feel to it, and you can tell that he's really trapped now in his mind. And I remember those days where, like, especially right after, for the next couple of months, you wake up and you're sad. You're sad all day. You go to bed and you're sad. You go through your whole life. You're just sad all the fucking time.
And then you suddenly just start feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, not apparently in all cases. And yeah, just the song to me it was pretty lyrically sound, but it was musically less interesting. And I don't know if it's because 6 tracks in, I'm like, okay, now it's starting to, like,
The sound
be
is
less
kind of
novel.
starting to.
But it's also, the song had less going for it. It was more simple. And
I felt like he had to kind of shine light onto a little bit of a happier track. This is talking about seeing the bright side, and I got this, like,
ironic.
as
yeah,
much
I thought
as,
it was more ironic than it was.
It's not really seeing. It's like, again, it's that jaded kind of happy where he's not really happy. It's more like a chemically induced happiness.
I got more like, all this shit's fucking up, but how about we look at the brighter side? Oh, we're partying. Oh, we're having fun. Oh, we're at a strip bar. Oh, we're
Exactly. Like, this is all his friends being like, let's check out the bright side. You can do all this now, and he's just not
Right.
into it.
Right. Right.
So it's not him saying it. Those are his friends saying it to him, and he's not seeing the bright side because instead he's still thinking about this girl and he wants to get messed up and forget her. Right?
I also felt like this one was
Yes.
musically less interesting.
Yeah, no, I give it a 4.1. I think it's conceptually really good. As far as the album's placement, it keeps the story going. It's still an honest part of this process, and it's not bad, but it's not, like, super good. It might be my least favorite one on the album. It's
Yeah.
definitely not the greatest.
Like, it's not you should have left this off, but I start to think a little bit that if I heard the song separately, like, without the rest of the album, I might like it more type thing, because
Yeah.
I haven't actually bumped this song separately yet. And I like the intro, even though on a rock record, I would give an intro like this a low grade just because it's, you know, the same kind of strummed four on the floor, 4-chord pattern. So yeah, I gave this one a 4 because it does still feel honest, and it's still a solid delivery, and it's still a solid melody, but it's just this far into the record, and you know, after the last track was kind of veered off in a different direction a little bit, and this one brings it right back to that direction, and it doesn't really do anything different with it. So it's not quite.
It felt like the first filler track on the album, even though it was still good filler.
Yeah, so I gave it a 4.
Nice. I gave it a 4 as well. I think that the song was great. I think that he did try to touch upon it, and I guess in an ironic way, he was saying like, "Yeah, y'all want me to be happy about X, Y, Z,
think
but
about
I'm not."
like, have you ever rebounded?
Have
you ever really been in that moment when your boys are like, let's go out, and everybody's trying to be like, let's find the bright side, and you're like, nah, I'm just going to sit here in my misery.
I understand that. I'm just saying in terms of positivity of the song that I got, I felt like this was I'm
still not seeing positivity.
Was the more uplifting song of trying to see the brighter side. As much as he's acknowledging that he's not, I feel like he's
also acknowledging
that you have to see the brighter side, that you have to look on the other side of the grass.
I feel like, again, it's what's being said to him. He's regurgitating back, like, the messages that are said to him. Like, I'm supposed to see the bright side is, I guess, a better way I would see it as.
But, like, I think it's also, like, he understands that with that, okay, to, you know, try not to be too cheesy, without light there can't be darkness and vice versa. So, yes, there is obviously a bright side. That is Newton's law of physics.
He's just not there.
He's not there, but like he acknowledges that there is one there. There must be. So like, yes, my friends are showing this to me, and yes, it must exist. I'm just not ready for it yet.
And like, in fact, it's the opposite. He's like, I want to die because my feelings are so fucking empty and sadness and stuff.
Cut my wrists and black my eyes.
Yeah, that shit. I don't know. Let's go on to the last one then, I guess.
Some problems.
Yeah, there are problems.
I made a deal with the devil.
This one was interesting. It's kind of like this acceptance that maybe his relationship was never real at all, because, you know, every time he was with her, he would get so fucked, he would like black out and like things like that. Like, he was just never sober with her. He was never like really with this person, and he kind of just reflects on that, and he feels like he's like losing, and he's thinking back, and it's a lot of memories, and memories is an interesting thing. You almost feel like this whole album is playing out at this point, like this is dealing with this relationship, and here we got this epiphany that it wasn't even real love after all. It was just some fake shit that he was involved in for a while, and it almost kind of leaves you with this like emptiness. And like, he almost feels like, I think he compares it to like how it's like all this is like making a deal with the devil, and like how fucked up like the situation was. Like, I don't know, man. Like, whether it's the music or the girl or all of it, he's definitely not quite pleased with the situation. I don't know. I thought it was a cool way. It was very even mellower than the last one, even more like musically less interesting, actually. I feel like
the one where he acknowledges that they both have issues. Like, I feel like a lot of the album is about him, and now on this one he's acknowledging that he's got issues, she's got issues, and that they both need to kind of like deal with their own issues on their own terms.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
I also kind of feel like this is the first time we really get Peep as an observer, like someone, like he recognizes his role as someone who watches, you know, society and watches other people go through these things, and even watches himself go through these things, and kind of almost philosopher in the way that he delivers this track. And that's why I feel like a part 2 might have been not necessarily more uplifting, but might have been a little more on the side of like taking apart other people's relationships, and it might have been a little different conceptually. Like, it's too bad we'll never get it, because this is a nice teaser. It's a nice way to close this one off. It's like a solid season 1 cliffhanger.
And yeah, it's kind of like we went through this whole process of him escaping through pain, and now we're finally getting to the point where like the clouds lifted, and like I feel like there's a sense of understanding on this track that doesn't exist anywhere else on this album.
Yeah.
Except maybe on Benz Truck, because he was understanding how little he understood there.
Like,
But-
I'm gonna be honest. The last two tracks, you know, the times that I've listened through the record all the way through, the last two tracks I kind of got a little bored, and then this one
Agreed.
pulled me right back in. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, this last track I feel like conceptually it's good, but again it's musically a little on the flatter side. Like it's a good way to bring you down at the end of the album, so it works as a
but
closer.
I prefer the hooks on this one to a lot of the.
This one I give a 4 to. Like it isn't really one. Like I feel like the first 4 tracks are ethereal in their sound, and then it kind of goes in a whole different direction with the album, which is okay because it does avoid the trap of being the same thing for 7 songs. But I feel like maybe again it's just at this point it's half an album, but he ends it and like it just kind of stops there. And I don't know, this song I wouldn't like go out of my way to listen to this, but I also wouldn't turn this off if I was playing through the album. Like I'd listen to the whole thing. So I'm out with a 4 on this.
I went with a 5. I liked it a lot. I couldn't like. This is the kind of track that, like, I think it works really well live. I think it's a little reminiscent of like, I haven't heard too much of his older material before this, but like a song like Hellboy, which I know it's a little more reminiscent of that. The music's more sparse, but again, it's very simple, and you can feel the emotion. You can always feel the emotion in his voice, in his delivery, and, you know, the slow kind of spend a lot of time in the background. Like, I dig that sentiment a lot. I dig a lot of the vibes on this album. I think this one is no exception.
Fair enough.
Nice. I gave this song a 4.5 on 5. I think that it was really a little bit. I saw a little bit of maturity in terms of acknowledging both sides of his problems and her problems. For me, this last track was the we need to kind of end it before things really get out of fucking control type song. I know that he addressed it a little earlier on the album, but I think this is the one that's tying it home after he's come to understand that, like
just to add to what you're saying, it's more he's accepting it at this point where he's
accepting that it needs to be
like
over.
within himself, like
Yeah.
in his mind, he's finally like he's moving out of the rebound phase of this post-breakup relationship
like,
situation.
He needs to just go and handle his own thing. So I thought it was really cool. 4.5 on 5.
So yeah, if we want to like just talk about some general thoughts on the album,
Yeah.
I think that first of all, it's 7 songs. You can't compare this to a full-length album. It's more of an EP. It's more of a smaller thing. So take my grade with a grain of salt as I give it a 4.4 and call it the best small album of the year. Like, I'm blown away by the concept. I'm blown away by like the general quality of every single song. And as Lindell pointed out, multiple times, many artists will just elongate their track list to like fill it out a little bit. Yeah, Lindell, we shouted you out on this one.
I also want to say that you suggested to me a cover to listen to. I haven't listened to it yet, but I haven't forgotten about you.
That's
right.
What's up, Lindell?
I know you're going to watch this video, so please comment on what I'm about to say, but there is a conversation in terms of why artists have been giving out bigger playlists, bigger track lists. It's for more streams and more, and the way that they're marketing
what's
now.
super interesting is a lot of these little dudes, and it's not just him. Like, who's the one that just did the video where they hang the kids? That one.
XXX Tentacion.
Yeah, him. He's
done,
like,
eh?
Yeah, well, apparently.
Well,
it's the second or
he's-
third time he's done.
Okay.
He's Jay-Z done as far as we're concerned. But his album was
What do you mean
also...
Jay-Z done?
Jay-Z retired like 4 times.
Well, he's not really retired. He just, there's a bunch of
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
on
yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
going that if he's not friends with one of his producers, he's not making
it's all
music.
sorts
And
of
he's also might be going to jail.
Also,
So,
nonsense. So I'm not going to take any of that seriously until he's a little older and he's got his shit together.
Yeah,
But what I'm
after he's
saying
done jail
is
time.
that there's this trend of these younger dudes making these super short, concise fucking albums. Now, in his case, it was a lot of songs that were like even shorter. This guy, I mean, seriously, it's 23 minutes. This Call Me When You're Sober Part 1, and it ends, and you get enough of a sense of it to really like decide I want to listen to more Lil Peep or not. But you also never get annoyed or bored. I mean, I've listened to the album like 8 times in the last 3 days, so it might be a little bit of a jaded perspective myself. I've heard it a lot recently, but holy shit, I still want to go put it on. Like, even right now, I kind of wish Benz Truck was playing in the background as we're talking. Like, it's,
I mean, there's some really solid hook work on this record, like really solid earworms. A lot of maturity that you don't hear from artists this age. Like this one, I guess you'll link. At some point on Bucket List, we're going to be putting out a top 10. This one made my top 10.
Fair.
And for those of you Classic Quest watchers who maybe don't watch Rock and Beards, don't know me, like I like weird music. I like shit that's outside the normal circle of like I like artists that are gonna jump around from genre to genre and mix that shit up. So like another hip hop artist that made my list was Jidenna. So like this record really it blends a whole lot of genres and it manages to find a sound that's consistent, not boring, not overplayed, not overdone,
and deep as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically it's very simple, but it still deals with some really serious themes, and not in a way, you know, a lot of people are shitting on him since he died, saying like, oh man, he's romanticizing drugs, he's romanticizing...
What?
No,
like, where
like,
do you hear that anywhere on this album, you know?
He's explaining,
Hold on.
art does, his point of view and his life experiences.
Just to add to that is, I don't know if he glorifies and romanticizes Xanax on like the other 2 or 3 mixtapes the dude has, so if that's the case, maybe... But at least on this project, which is likely what like everyone's gonna hear because it's the one on Spotify and shit, I don't see it at all.
But I mean, and the thing is, if you're gonna talk about music romanticizing heartbreak and depression, music does that. You know, it's not just emo that does that. Music does that. But not a lot of music does it in such a real way, where it's presenting not only the happiness that you can get on drugs, but the jaded feelings, the sense of I should be moving on. I know that, but I can't, so I'm turning to this because it's like, there, it's easy, it's ready.
He feels like a drug addict on this song.
Yeah.
Not like somebody who's like, you should pop Xannies to be like me.
So I gave this record a solid 4.5 on 5.
Dope.
Like, it's a really, really good record. It's short, but it comes in, does a thing, makes his point, gets out fast. Yeah, he's gonna do another one.
Is this a general thing you guys do?
No, it's a joke from like Rockin' Beards where anytime a song's like short, punky, and like 2.5 minutes, he's like, he comes in, and then I started mocking him for the next like 4 episodes, and yeah, that's what we do. We mock each other. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chris's grade.
I gave it a 4.1 on 5. I was surprised that I actually liked the album. I was surprised that I ended up liking it. But I also think that, you know what, he does speak for a generation that is kind of confused and kind of lost. And as much as it might not be my vibe or something that I will go back and listen to repeatedly, it's not a bad album.
Hold on. I want to say that as much as he speaks for a generation that's upcoming, it sounds like the same emotions we was all dealing with back when I was a teenager.
That too.
It sounds like me being 21 and messed up on different things.
Yeah.
Like it might not be this. Maybe the drug of choice has changed, but it's not like people haven't been like this for fucking ever. And I love what he did with it. It is so honest. Anyway, this is
Story of a girl.
Yeah,
Cried a river and drowned the whole world.
That's not what this is, but we appreciate you being here. This is still a bit of a conversation. Let us know what you think of Lil Peep. Thank you for watching.
And you know what?
There.
Let us know if you can find any other records. Like, this is a weird episode of Classic Quest. Like, I'm here. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But let us know if you want, movies, TV shows that are out of the ordinary, out of the sphere of, I'm Bonnie. But,
So yeah, let us know. And
Hi, Bonnie.
Also, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment to enter into the contest. And yeah, let us know what albums you want to review, because this was a request from Holden. I requested this album, so we did it. I guess that's what happens when you run shit, I guess. But we also take your stuff seriously, and you can request stuff too.
And you know what? Hang on. I just before Chris says his final word and blows your minds with some wisdom, I just want to say, respect to Lil Peep, man. Rest in peace, because the dude was doing some really cool shit, and it's too bad to see him go. However you feel about his death or how he died or whatever, like it's too bad because he was talented.
But when you go listen to this album and you consider what happened next, it really adds a high degree of authenticity to the words he's saying on this record.
All right, Chris, drop that shit.
Okay, guys, bye. Okay, guys, bye.